We've got new Silent Hills news. PS Plus Super Mega Ultra Premium Collection games have been revealed, and Starfield has been delayed, and so much more on today's episode of the Dual Screens Crossplay Podcast. Hello and welcome. My name is Taylar Allen, alongside Andy Asimakis. Andy, how are you?
I love that you're making this show your own. There's like a little recap of what we're going to talk about in the beginning.
Yeah,
this
I
is
feel
like
like
brand new things.
Yeah, I feel like I have to kind of shake things up. I don't want to totally change the show or anything.
No.
But
I love it. I'm like, shit, now I know what's on the docket.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
Because you famously don't look at the docket until we.
I do.
I'm just
kidding. Listen, like I used to make the doc for years, so like not looking at it is fine for me. I could use less Google documents in my life.
I know. Especially like my work is entirely cloud-based, and so it's all Google Docs, Google Sheets, stuff like that. And so like adding more into it, it's just like, oh my God.
Right. I'm just so over it. But yes, this is the Crossplay Podcast. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we've got a great show for you guys today. A lot of really cool games coming out soon. A lot of big news. This is going to be a pretty full show, so we'll get rolling. But first, we have to thank everyone for listening, especially those of you who go and support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/NDSpodcasts, and especially our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler and FNH Paul. Couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to support us over there, you can head over to the Patreon. For just $1, you can join the Discord. Discord's awesome. We have a lot of great chats all day long. You can see what all of the idiots are doing and what games we're playing and see news as it's breaking instead of just catching it on the weekly show.
The best sales pitch. See what all the idiots are doing.
Exactly.
For the cost of $1.
Yeah. It's funny because that's actually what our Discord role name is the idiots.
Yeah,
and so it's
the idiots, yeah.
It's fitting. All right. We are going to jump into the adventures in gaming, and we've got some good ones this week, Andy. I was on this indie roguelike kick that kind of continues into this week a little bit. There are a couple of good ones that I've been playing. But first, I want to know what you've been doing this week.
So I just started playing my copy of KO the Kangaroo.
Okay.
Which is out in 2 weeks. And I think it's one of my favorite games of the year so far.
No, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They did a really good job. I grew up on 3D platformers, like when I was a Wii one on the Nintendo days, I didn't have a lot of games.
Yeah.
There were like 10 games maybe at most. But once we got older, my brother and I, we each got jobs and we had money. We got our first PlayStation, the PS1. It was like our first big purchase.
Yeah.
In the gaming arena, and we were all in on like Crash Bandicoot and Gex and Croc,
Spyro.
Spyro, Tumba 2, because that was like, what was that? 2D? Yeah, it's 2D, whatever. But all those like classic Bubsy, all those classic. I grew up on all those kind of games, and of course that carried through to like Mario 64 and Odyssey and Galaxy and all that other fun stuff. So I think Crash 4 came out not too long ago. So having all that legacy and history behind me, playing KO, which is a reboot / it's more of a sequel. It's the fourth entry proper in the KO franchise, which began on Dreamcast 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And this came back because fans did a whole like grassroots online Twitter thing.
Really?
And the developers were like, okay, the interest is here and we're going to do it. So they made it.
I had no idea that that's how it started.
Yeah, it was essentially in the beginning, they had some goals. They wanted the old games, I think, on Steam and GOG. And then I forget the third one was like, give us a brand new KO. That was like the big goal of the three.
Yeah.
And they first released the games, huge response, and then they're like, what, there's a market for KO, like it exists, it's out there. And then now it's back, and it is so damn good.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun. I can't talk too much about it, but it's great. It's fantastic. You're gonna love it. It's out in 2 weeks.
And it's coming out on everything: PS4, PS5,
all the
last
things.
gen, new gen, Switch, PC,
Yeah,
like wherever you want to play that.
everything.
Yeah,
yeah. Steven's sister's ass, all of it.
Yep.
It's gonna come. It's gonna come out for everything.
Cool. Well, you been playing anything else this week?
Yeah, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is that I'm playing also this week, and that's a roguelike game. They're just like everywhere, I feel.
There's a lot of like
there's
really
like
good
an
ones.
epidemic.
Yeah.
And I mean it's just, and not to like deride it, but like I'm overwhelmed. Like they're consuming me like from the inside out. They're eating me alive.
Yeah.
Roguelike games. And this latest one, after I just got hooked on Revita like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, out comes a game called Shotgun King, which is a game that's just chess, but you play as a lonely solo king piece with a shotgun against all the other chess pieces.
Yeah. So I picked this up the other day too after seeing you and Matt like kind of gush about it. And I'm sure you guys are going to go like way more in depth on Indie's Nuts tomorrow. But I picked it up, and Shotgun King is the perfect game for people who like kind of know chess but are bad at chess, because you only have to worry about one piece. Like you're not moving all over the place. For the most part, you're moving one space at a time, and you have a fucking shotgun, and it's so good. Like, oh, I've beaten it a couple of times. I'm up to the hard difficulty, and let me tell you, going from 2 shells to 1 is horrible.
Oh man, I don't even want to know what that's
tough.
like.
It is really hard, man.
I do not want to live in that world, like, but that's my future.
Like going from the normal to the hard difficulty is like brutal. So
yeah, it's just such an ingenious game. So I'll list a few things I want to add to that. So yes, you are a king piece, but when you kill or shotgun in the face to death an enemy piece, like a bishop, or all of them are now escaping me what they're called, bishop or knight. You sort of gather their soul, and you can move like them on the board, which is the dopest shit. And then of course there's builds, and that comes in the form of cards you get with stats and buffs, but they work both ways. So you get one plus your enemy gets one, and they all stack as you go through each level, and it's insane. It's insanely fun and insane.
I think my favorite combo so far, they have one card that you can get that it's called the Blunderbuss. It gives you a huge bump in like your shotgun's power, but the spread is super wide.
Get that wide spread.
Yeah, but I got that, and then I also got the scope, where you can right click and it like really narrows your spread. And so I did those two, and then you can also get a moat that makes it so that pieces can't come all the way across the board. They like have to stop halfway through. And so I basically just like stood on the back line. I would turn my scope on, and then I would just clear out the pawns in front of the king in like one shot, and then I would just snipe the king, and then everything else would die. And it was awesome. Like I literally just played on the back row. Nothing could get to me.
God.
I think I also got the one that makes it so the queen can only move one space or something. And so
damn,
like
that queen.
Yeah, it just makes it so that I could just snipe the king, and it was a ton of fun.
Or like throw the occasional grenade too, which you can do in this game.
Oh, I haven't messed around with the grenades.
Oh, those are fun.
Are they good?
Those are fun. That's fun. That's like splash damage fun.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'll have to check that out.
What else on your docket for this week?
Yeah, a couple other things I've been playing. I've been like in the mood for another like deck building roguelike, right? Like I play a ton of Slay the Spire. I talked about Downfall last week. And like I'm still playing Slay the Spire, but I was like, you know what? I'm kind of wanting like something a little bit different. And there was a game that I bought that came out probably like 9 months ago now, called Grift Lands.
Mm.
And it's, you know, roguelike deck builder. The cool thing about it is in almost every, it's like very cinematic. So in almost every situation, you can either like solve the issue by like actually fighting the enemy and like killing them, or, you know, getting them to the point of surrendering, which you can do
Right.
both. Or you can try and negotiate with them. And there's like a whole different interface, and you have a different deck of cards that do different things, and you're like trying to convince them to see your way. And so they have like these like aggressive but non-lethal, lethal, and like non-aggressive ways to handle most
Like
situations.
using like charisma or charm to like talk way out of a situation. Is
Yeah,
that
but
like
you're
what's
you're like, and it's funny because like the decks kind of have like two different ways you can go about it. You can either be like intimidating and threatening, and that's how you win
mm,
the argument, or you can be
mm,
like really persuasive. And there's
mm.
obviously like synergies with like the persuasive types of cards and with the like threatening types of cards. It's really
That's really
cool.
neat. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the story's really interesting too. Like the writing is fantastic, and it's incredibly deep. Like tons and tons of systems. I've like barely scratched the surface of it, but it's really good. The thing that makes it a little bit difficult is, like with Slay the Spire, you know how much damage you do with each card. You know how much damage you're going to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Like the card values are set. With Grift Lands, it's ranges. So you'll do like 3 to 6 damage, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
receiving like 1 to 4 damage. So it makes it hard to know like exactly how much you have to block for, how much damage you need to do. Like if
Right.
you play a card, like are you going to kill them or like get them to the point of surrender? Or are you going to play it, it's going to do minimum damage, and then you're going to, you know, eat a bunch of damage instead of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like using a block card or something. So that's the only thing that's like a way bigger learning curve, is like trying to figure that out. But overall, it's a really fun game.
All right. I gotta check that out.
Salt and Sacrifice that came out this last week.
Still playing that.
Um, it's good. It's different. It's not just like more 2D Dark Souls. They
Mm-hmm.
actually added this like interesting mechanic to it where these like the mages that you hunt down and try and kill, they are all like based on an element. And as you're like hunting them, you like track them across the level, and then once you do enough damage to them, they then go to their arena. And that's where you have like the big fight.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um,
That's really badass. I like that.
but while you're doing it, they're like spawning minions and stuff. And the minions and the boss drop parts like in Monster Hunter. So you
Oh
then,
shit.
yeah, you then are like, you can fight the minions a bunch before they get to their arena and just like farm the minions. And then you can
Uh-huh.
craft their armor set that is typically resistant to the element that they deal damage.
Mm.
But it's really cool. It's like an interesting like little Monster Hunter-y twist to the like
Oh,
2D
I
Dark
like that.
Souls-y aspect.
All right. See, that's how
Um,
you make a proper sequel. You up the ante a little bit.
yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting. I like it a lot. And then the last thing I've been playing as of this morning is a game that just came out in early access.
Oh my god, you.
I'm gonna say it right now. It is, I am notorious for hating survival games. Like
Mm-hmm.
in every discussion, it's just like survival games suck. I hate Minecraft. I think like No Man's Sky is so boring. Like I just do not have fun with survival games, right? But
But
the survival game genre might be like the genre that I've spent some of the most money of my life in. Like I try every single survival game that comes out because
it's
I
like
think
you want to like one so badly.
I do. Like I genuinely am like interested in that gameplay loop, and like in my mind I'm like, yeah, this should be awesome. And then I get into it and it's just like, I have to go find fucking stone, and it's 9 miles away, and now I need coal, and I have no idea where it is, and now it's nighttime and I'm dead. Like
Right. Right.
it's just like really frustrating for me, and like the procedural generation and stuff kind of plays into that a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like whatever, I get over it. I try everything, I hate them all. And most recently it was Valheim. I was like, you know what, Valheim looks like the game. You know, it's got kind of this Souls-like combat. Like, this should be the one that like scratches the itch. I've played 35 minutes of Valheim and I don't know if I'll ever go back. But V Rising, this came up on my YouTube feed a bunch, and I don't know, like, they had like this pre-early access event where a bunch of like YouTubers and stuff got to play it. And so I was like, okay, this sounds kind of cool. It's more of like an isometric ARPG camera angle, which already I love. They have really cool RPG progression, ARPG progression elements where you have like different abilities. Each weapon that you have, there are 4 different melee weapon types and I think 1 or 2 ranged weapon types, plus magic. So for each weapon type, as you upgrade them, you unlock more moves that you can do. They each have their own like unique animations and stuff. Like, it's really, really good. The combat is awesome. Plus, you unlock all of these different magical abilities and stuff that you can combo with it. So that's cool. Like, the combat is interesting and intriguing, and like that's really keeping me in. But on top of that, the like, at least so far, I've only played it for a day, but that's significantly longer than I've played most other survival games.
Correct.
So far, the like resource gathering, base building, that aspect, like refining all of that, has actually been like pretty cool. I've really enjoyed it. The premise of the game, sorry, I should mention, premise of the game, you're a vampire.
You should have started with that premise, dude. That's like the best selling point of the game.
You're a fucking vampire.
You're a fucking really vampire.
Cool. And you have to like build your castle. You know, you do your little tutorial, you come out and everything's like beautiful and sunny and you're walking through the woods. And then all of a sudden you start taking like 10 ticks of damage per second because you're standing in the sun and you don't realize. And so like when you're out traversing during the day, you have to move from shadow to shadow.
I love that. That's really cool.
On top of that,
oh man, like, it's smart.
Yeah, I've been playing for a couple hours now. I just found a treasure chest that had like 2 silver pieces or something in it, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh cool, you know, this is probably just used for like trading. It said, or it said like currency used when meeting with traders or something. So it's like, oh, I haven't met any traders yet, but that'll probably be useful. I put it in my pocket. I start taking small chip damage over time because it's silver. And the more silver you have on you, the more damage over time you take. And so it's like this crazy...
You have to spend it.
Yeah. Or you get it back to your base and you put it in a chest.
Right.
And so like I was just like floored. I was like, they thought about like all of these things that like go into being a vampire. And then, you know, at night, like you are more powerful and you can move freely and stuff because it's dark. The one other thing that I think is really cool, you, instead of having like a hunger or thirst meter, you have a blood meter. You have to like feed on creatures to like stay alive. It doesn't deteriorate super fast, which I'm a fan of. You know, it kind of is just kind of there in the background. But the enemies that you feed off of, like the type of enemy, will have like a blood rarity percentage. And based off of the type of enemy you feed on, you gain different passive perks. So, for example, if you kill a rogue that has like a decent blood rarity level, you gain increased crit chance and increased movement speed.
Oh my god.
If you kill a brawler, you gain increased knockback and like armor. Like, it's super, super cool.
This sounds like what Nosgoth should have been. Do you remember Nosgoth, Taylor?
I have no idea what that is.
So Nosgoth was a spin-off of Legacy of Kain, but it was a multiplayer competitive title. It was teams of like humans versus vampires. And you could pick different vampire like you know, types. Yeah. Ones with wings, ones that can scale walls.
I think I've seen this actually, yeah.
Right. It crashed and burned. Horrible failure. Like, it was just, you know, just drag the name of Legacy of Kain the dirt. Its good name. It was the last game we really got in the franchise, technically. And it was just so generic and boring. And this game sounds like what that game should have been.
It's really good. It's like
Oh my
really,
god!
really
All
good.
right, you've sold it. You've sold it. $20, right?
And it's
On
only
early
20
access.
bucks.
Yeah,
20
I'm
bucks
getting it.
early access. It's out on Steam
All
right
right.
now.
Yeah,
So
PVE, PvP, all that good shit.
yeah,
we're
you
doing
can
it.
do both. So they've got a bunch of
All right.
different servers. They have PvE only servers and like different levels of competitiveness for PvP.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like casual PvP where like they can only take resources off you if you die. They have like hardcore PvP where they can take your gear and stuff too if they kill you. They also have like duo only PvP where you have to like specify a teammate and everyone else is hostile and it's only two of you. So it's it's super cool.
It's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening. All right.
New segment alert. I can never remember what games are coming out. And so every week we're going to do a little recap in the release roundup.
This is more for you than anyone else.
This is for me than anyone else. Because I have no idea. But there's a game on this list that I think that you would actually be very interested in. And I want to know if you've had your eyes on this.
Talk to me.
So first, Evil Dead, the game that came out on May 13th, that came out everywhere. Umurangi Generations, that came out on the Xbox family of consoles today. I have no idea what that game is. On Thursday, we've got Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, that's coming out everywhere. On May 24th on PC, we have Hard Space Shipbreaker. But the one that I think that you would be interested in, Andy, is this game called Dolmen. Have you heard of this?
So, we played that at PAX East.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Also future guest of the Dual Screens podcast.
Oh.
It's a developer based out of Brazil. It is a Souls-like title set in space that has Dead Space qualities to it, meaning that you have a gun that when you point and shoot, it's legit like your Isaac Clarke in Dead Space. The demo needed a little bit of polish, but that was like, we're going, a month plus back from release date.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's all like good to go. But yeah, this may be the next Souls-like game that really grabs my attention after, putting Elden Ring to bed a few weeks back. So this game looked good.
It's coming out everywhere except for the Nintendo Switch. I have it on my Steam wish list. I'm excited about it.
Hell yeah.
All right. We've got a very long Dual Screens report today. So we're going to jump into it, and we're actually going to jump into our Dual Screens report and pair that with our question of the week. So first and foremost, the PS Plus premium collection of games has been teased. Now, Sony has come out and clarified this is not all of the games that are going to be there at release. This is just a select few. I don't know why they wouldn't just give the full list. Because
why are you going to cock tease me?
This is a lot of games that they listed.
It is. I guess that's the point. Like, here's how much you're going to get. Oh, by the way, there's still a lot more happening. Like when it launches. So like, stay tuned. But please be more excited than you are right now, essentially. Yeah.
Some of the biggest games that are being featured in the PS4 and PS5 collections is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Demon's Souls, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, NBA 2K22, the Spider-Man games, Red Dead Redemption 2, things like that. On some of the older games, we're looking at things like Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, Siphon Filter, Tekken 2. So there's a decent amount here that they showed off. And the titles are pretty notable. But our friend Mike Kirsch made a astute observation. This will get us into our question of the week. Hey guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the lineup of games for the new PS Plus. I think most people look at it as a solid starting point to build a service out of, and seems pretty comparable to the offering Game Pass had when it first launched a few years ago. Something that stood out to me was the surprising lack of EA titles. There seems to be a variety of participation from third-party publishers, including 2K, Warner Brothers, Square Enix, and a great deal of heavy lifting being done by Ubisoft with the inclusion of Ubisoft Plus Classics. Frankly, I didn't expect legacy titles from Activision or Bethesda to make an appearance on the service, but the lack of any EA games at all is a surprise to me. Do you think Microsoft and EA have worked out some kind of deal? Is PlayStation not enticing them to include their games? Do you think EA games will show up in the future? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So,
That is a really, really great question, Mikey Kirsch. Love it. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
yeah, so I think there's likely a deal in the background between Microsoft and EA. I think that's what's going on. Because with Game Pass, you get, what's their EA Access? Is that their subscription-y thing?
Yeah.
So with Game Pass Premium, which is the PC and Xbox One that comes with Games with Gold, you get EA Access. And so I would bet with that deal, there was some kind of clause saying that they couldn't offer the games that they offer there on other services like that. Kind of like future-proofing and protecting themselves for Sony's inevitable Game Pass competitor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guess, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, let's say that was the case. Or actually, let's say it wasn't the case. I think it still works out better for Sony, because I feel having, a lot of EA games on your service, I think, invites the comparison. And I think securing the Ubisoft Plus as like the additional hook into the service, I think works better, because, EA, I think, they totally bombed with the last Battlefield game completely. And I think things are looking more enticing on the Ubisoft side of things.
Oh, I would heavily disagree.
Well, listen,
I feel like EA is trending up and Ubisoft is definitely trending down. Yes. 100%.
Well, see, to me, EA is just Madden and fucking Battlefield. That's all I see it as. But in my house, we're an Assassin's Creed family, so that my ears perk up when I see Assassin's Creed. It's like, oh shit, maybe I won't buy one for the first time ever since like Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out. But yeah, I think it's smart to like distance themselves a little bit from that, if that's the case. They found a worthy like competitor. Like, okay,
I agree.
If we can't do EA because of whatever contractual obligation or whatever, we'll go with one that's like at least on the same level in size and recognition, and that's Ubisoft and their library of games. So I think it worked out for the best.
So I'm looking back at the last little bit of games that have been published by both of these companies, and it's actually kind of a mixed bag for both of them.
There you go.
So Jedi Fallen Order obviously was awesome. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I think a lot of people really liked. Star Wars Squadrons, I think a lot of people liked, but it didn't like blow anyone's pants off. It Takes Two, Knockout City. So those are, and then obviously the sports games on the EA side are always like pretty decent. On the downside, Battlefield 2042. On the Ubisoft side, Rainbow Six Extraction, which was kind of like a fart in the wind. Roller Champions was, it was just like a tech test for that Roller Champions game, so I don't know. Riders Republic was kind of a fart in the wind. It seems like people weren't like too crazy about Far Cry 6. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was kind of mixed. Watch Dogs Legion was like
the one that they got to.
Kind of mixed. People really liked Immortals Phoenix Rising.
That was a good game.
But like,
I enjoyed that game tremendously. But you know what? Listen, Taylor, when like fucking Dead Space remake launches and it's on EA Access, would it launch day and date on that? I'm not sure how they operate. Is it like if you have the service, do you get the games the same day?
I don't think they launch day and date.
Got it. Okay.
And with this Ubisoft Plus Classics, I don't think they're launching their new games day and date on there either.
It's just the back catalog of hits.
Yeah. It's recent stuff though. Like like with EA, they put Battlefield 2042, which I guess is not like a great measure, on there, like pretty soon after release. It Takes Two, they put on there like a month or two after it released. So like,
Well, I do want to hear your overall thoughts of what games we've seen so far coming to this service. How do you feel
I
looking at this list of games
I think
going into this?
Sony um has kind of put themselves in a tough spot
Mm,
because they have invested really heavily in the PS Plus monthly games
mhm.
for a long time, while Xbox hasn't. Like
Right.
the games with gold games that have come out for the last 3 years have, for the most part, been garbage. Like we've said it a
Mhm.
million times on the show. Like you can just kind of shrug at it. Like
Right.
they suck, you
Listen,
know?
garbage in the sense of this isn't worth paying an additional
Yeah.
annual fee for when these games are good on their own, but like, why am I paying you money for these
Hmm.
games that aren't really like, I don't feel the savings in my pocket.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. The value
Exactly.
isn't there. Yes.
But on the PlayStation side, there have been like, even though there have been some months that have missed, there have been some really good months on there.
Hmm.
Most famously the month that had Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank, like that
Hmm.
was really good. Like they've had a lot of really good months. But looking through this list, it's like, oh, I got that with PS Plus, I got that with PS Plus. So
Yeah.
if
It's
you've been getting these games for a long time, it kind of feels like meh, whatever.
I
But
feel like coming from, a diehard PlayStation loyalist, I've bought almost all these first party
mm-hmm,
games when they first came out. So I've been
yep,
supporting you, and now it's here they are again. Like, great. Now they're just digital downloads.
yeah,
You've saved me a trip from the couch to the console to
yeah,
do a disc swap. That's all you've done for me, which
yeah,
is great for a lot of these games like Returnal. Can't wait to have that in my hard drive at all times so I can
mm-hmm,
just boot it up and play it when I feel like it. But again, I feel that, you know, it's nice seeing all these banger hits, but I own almost all of these games. Like, I
yeah.
really can't even, I really want to say, with the exception of Everybody's Golf and Dead Nation, I
Dead
think I
Nation was free
own.
with PS Plus.
Okay, so maybe it just in my library.
Yeah,
I've been downloading it in a while, but I think I own all of these games.
yeah. Which I mean, we can't expect like they can't just
Everyone.
like
Right.
create games to like put on here, right?
Right.
Like if
Right.
you've been a longtime Sony supporter, like that's just the fact of the matter. You've bought Sony games, so you're gonna have the
Mhm.
Sony games. Like
Right.
that's how it is. I will say I love that they're adding all of Housemarque's old games on there,
I
so that
know it's
hopefully people
really
can see
warms my
how good
heart.
they are.
It's like their
Alien
entire
Nation is
back
so
catalog.
good. Alien Nation
Oh
is
my
so
god.
good, you guys. Um, and some of the third party stuff. There's some really good third party
Right.
games on here. Ashen is fantastic.
Hmm.
Obviously the Ubisoft stuff, like even though I was not a fan of Valhalla, like Valhalla is a
Hmm.
big like marquee game.
Hmm.
They have games like Celeste, Control, which has been given away for free 800 times, Dead Cells,
Hmm.
Hollow Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like there's some really good third party
Right.
games on
But
here.
like, I'm
Red
looking at
Dead
this list.
Redemption 2, like that's a
Right.
fantastic grab, and like a really big game. Like I
Hmm.
would I would say that Red Dead Redemption 2 today is worth $60 or $70. And so
Hmm.
getting that just thrown into the collection, like that's awesome.
Right. But Resident Evil, like, that game has been around for a while. Like, that should have been, they should have pushed for Resident Evil 8, to be honest. Thing that would
Or
have
like
pushed.
2 remake or something.
Yeah, or 2 and 3 remake could have both
Yeah.
lived on this thing, and that would
Yeah.
have been great.
I think where I have the most issue is in the classic games catalog.
Right,
I have
right.
no desire to subscribe to this.
So
Like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing for me, Taylor. The thing I was the most excited about with this whole repackaging,
mhm,
re light rebranding, quasi rebranding of the service with these different tiers.
mhm,
Like, I know that I have almost all the big games on both first and third party side, with a few exceptions. But I was all about, give me the classics. What will they be? What will they play like?
mhm,
And it looks very paltry. Like,
yeah,
there's only one PSP game in the bunch
mhm,
that you're mentioning. I get it that it's like a tease, but you know, Yeah, Ape Escape, great. Dark Cloud, fantastic. These things already exist on PS Now.
Yeah. Siphon Filter, I'm actually kind of excited about.
Yeah,
I love Siphon Filter.
that's gonna be good. It's really good.
Um,
But yeah, I'm like the one thing I was super jazzed about, and I'm scrolling, I'm like, why? It's like six games,
yeah.
and the one PSP game is just Super Stardust Portable,
Mm-hmm.
which was on PS3, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
They did mention, and this kind of got buried in that press release. They did mention that PSP and PlayStation Classic games, so original PlayStation games, you can just buy them also. So they're actually going to be selling those, like, these games on the marketplace, so you don't have to subscribe to this. Like,
that's really
if
good.
you don't want to subscribe and you just want to buy like one of the classic PSP games or one of the original PlayStation games, you can do that. And so like that is one thing as far as like game preservation and stuff goes that I think is really good that they're doing. So but yeah, overall, and this kind of feels like the sentiment across the board. Like the PS4, PS5 collection is awesome, especially if you are like just buying a PlayStation for the first time. Classic games collection is like kind of meh.
Right, and I think they know the catch is they're gonna draw people in with the big current or last generation games.
Yep.
Because I think most people, most younger gamers, want to get the most value. So when you're offering like Guardians or MK11, it's like great. That's like I can save that money there, try it out, play it here. You're not gonna sell someone on a teenager on Siphon Filter or
exactly.
Arc the Lad.
There's no 13s out there. 13-year-olds like clamoring to play Dark Cloud 2.
Yeah.
As much as Steven would like them to be, they're not.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side of the aisle, Xbox had some news this week.
Oh my God, did they ever?
Not good news. So Bethesda has officially delayed Starfield and Redfall, which I didn't even know Redfall was supposed to come out this year.
Me either.
That seems very optimistic.
Because I never checked their roadmap. I'm like, they release so much information when they do their things, and I'm like, all right, I'll just play it when it comes out. I don't need to know your life story. Just when it's out, I'll play it.
Yep.
Great.
So both of those games have been pushed from 2022 to the first half of 2023. I am more so concerned, not necessarily that they pushed Starfield, but that they pushed it from a firm release date of 11/11 to first half of 2023.
It's alarming.
Yeah.
It says a lot because I can understand having a nebulous window like God of War, Ragnarok. When we first saw it was 2022, which, as we all know, Christopher Judge's surgery is what pushed that game's release schedule back. It was you could either pick a new Kratos actor or you can wait for me to heal and we can do this. And Santa Monica was like, we're not recasting. You are Kratos. So you get well and we'll get you back in here when the time comes. But again, the initial impression was sometime 2022.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. In the case of Starfield, it seems very bizarre to go from a very set date and now it's like, well, we've lost confidence. Things have changed over the last year, and now it's sometime the next 6 months of next year. So you're talking at minimum, or I'm saying at most, at least a year off from release from, I guess, today.
Yeah.
Or we would say June of this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. It's strange. A game that we saw very little of at all.
Which is not bizarre for Bethesda. Like
it isn't. But
like
listen,
when they announced Fallout 4, they announced it at E3 that year and it released November of that year.
Yeah, but we got a full trailer showing off gameplay.
Yeah, they showed the game 6 months before it came out, is what I'm saying.
But they showed it. Like,
I know,
it's
but
functioning. It's up and running.
What I'm saying though, Andy, is I wasn't concerned that we hadn't seen Starfield yet because of that time frame of like 5 months from when they showed off the gameplay of
Because you're
Fallout 4
thinking,
to when it released. Like,
we're thinking they've done this before Bethesda. They know
yeah,
what they're doing, and they know when to
exactly.
like, if they commit to a date. And I think I heard several articles that were like Todd Howard saying, "Yeah, this is the date. Like,
Yeah.
this is the date. It's happening."
Oh yeah. Did you see that tweet from Jason Schreier when this all got announced?
No,
He said
please tell me.
he was talking to some Bethesda employees at GDC,
Uh huh.
um, and they said that the game was rough, like
Oh
in
boy.
really bad spot.
So,
And people internally at Bethesda were telling Jason Schreier that like if they have to hit this 11/11 release date, it's going to be the next Cyberpunk 2077.
I mean,
If you
listen.
have your own employees saying that it's going to be as bad as one of the biggest fuck ups in like modern memory, like that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's telling. You know,
So,
listen. I like the fact that Microsoft has a very hands-off approach when it comes to all these recent big acquisitions
mm-hmm.
as of late. But when you take into fact Starfield, which is an in-house to some extent, it's theirs. They own that property. They own Bethesda. It's their baby. And then Perfect Dark, what's happening over there, I feel that there needs to be greater oversight, quality control, and not just playing the headline game. Like,
Yeah.
you can say you're making the first quadruple A game ever, which sounds fun on paper, and it's a great YouTube thumbnail, and it'll get you clicks, and it might push some consoles and some pre-orders. But now it's like the game is in turmoil.
Yeah.
And
And
then Starfield, it's like the same scenario.
I think the more concerning thing here for Xbox as a whole is now they have
Mhm.
nothing this year.
Yeah,
Like,
it's it's really funny how we've gone from the Xbox fan base saying now we have more games than the PlayStation fan base does because they've gobbled up all these studios and all these IP. But Sony, who's just kept on, their usual business,
mhm.
they released 3 games for the year, with Horizon, GT, MLB, and soon God of War. And Microsoft's like, well, you're getting Deathloop
Yeah.
this year.
I will say of of all the people in gaming to like oversee a conglomerate as big as this and like these many projects, like I think Phil
Mhm.
Spencer is the right guy. Like I
Right.
think in a couple of years we'll look back and be like, yeah, that was a rough start to the generation, and like
Mm-hmm.
obviously like Xbox One X they were still like bouncing back, but you know they really turned it around, kind of a thing.
Yeah, listen, it mustn't be easy to like do a complete 180
Hmm.
on your business like in such a short period of time. And it
Especially
was
a business like Microsoft that's
right,
like
right,
steering a cruise ship, right?
right. And it's funny, I kept seeing these things all week long about um could you run a multi-billion dollar. I was like, can we not play that dumb game? Like, of
Yeah.
course I can't do it, but listen, it's not about that. It's about the messaging. I'm sure at
Hmm.
some point Bethesda told Phil Spencer, we are super confident about this thing. Someone set that date. It wasn't Phil
Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah.
And
No,
for it to be
totally.
rough, yeah, and for it to be still rough now, it's like, why'd you have that date a year ago?
Yeah. I think like obviously development time has been increasing across the board, right?
Yeah, of
Like we're
course.
seeing it with
Yeah.
Rockstar, we're seeing it with all these big
Yeah.
studios. Instead of getting a game pushed out in 3 years, it seems like it's taking closer to 5.
Right.
Um and so this could just be like some of the old heads at Bethesda saying, yeah, like you know, it took us 3 years between Skyrim and Fallout 4, like we'll be fine, you know? And not realizing like with all of these like high quality assets and things like that, everything just takes longer, especially as these titles get more and more ambitious. But I hope that game's good, man. Like I'm cheering for them, but I'm
Yeah.
nervous.
Listen, Taylor, I'm always gonna cheer for these games. I have all the time in the world. I'll play I'll fucking play Shotgun King until Starfield comes out. I don't give a shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm not waiting like this. Oh, this ruined my year because Starfield. I'm not that kind of guy, but it's all about follow through and
Yeah.
like the evaluation of. Listen, guys, we're doing a huge press event for the around E3 season with a lot of eyeballs on us. Like, do you have a date you can commit to? Yeah, we got this date.
Yeah.
Love that. Headline, book it, done. Pre-order sold, console sales sold. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, well, sorry, not happening anymore. We'll see you
Yeah.
next year. It's like it's a little deflating.
Yeah.
A little deflating.
Kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
Speaking of shit shows, tell me what's going on with the Silent Hill stuff.
Oh my god. Just put a knife to my eyeball.
I feel like we've been having this conversation every
this conversation
couple of months
is my
for
Silent
years.
Hill.
Like
This topic is my Silent Hill. So last Friday,
mm-hmm.
apparently a bunch of screenshots from what is either a current in progress Silent Hill or a canceled Silent Hill were dumped online.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone just pulled their hair out because it looked like the most generic cover bandy Silent Hill looking shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So bloober all over is what I want to say. But there was two distinct visions. One looked like shitty bloober had their fingerprints all over it, and the other looked very Resident Evil 7 PT
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe going on. And then, of course, what happens when when a rumor sparks, everyone then chimes in with a bunch of new shit. And this has gone from a bunch of leaks of screenshots to what is now this. Apparently, Silent Hill 2 is being remade by Bloober Team. A smaller Silent Hill title is being made by Annapurna Interactive, which is a short episodic series. And there is a new mainline Silent Hill game. And to put a nice little cherry on the shit parfait, Sony is apparently still involved in either the Bloober remake, because they did sign some sort of like publishing
Mm-hmm.
partnership, which could be part of the whole PS Plus repackaging. Like we want to get Euro games on this. That's what that could be, but it could be this also, or they could be part of the new Silent Hill game, which was rumored to be by some Japanese developer, maybe Kojima, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore, Taylor. I'm just done. Give it to me. This is like some monkey. This is monkey paw level shit. You do not remake Silent Hill 2. I'm sorry. Game is perfect. Leave it alone.
Yeah. The craziest thing about all of this, though, is that Konami issued DMCA takedowns on all of that leaked stuff,
all
which basically like confirmed
it
that it's real. That's what it is. So
telling you the monkey's paw.
Absolutely wild. I'm sorry that we have to do this every 3 months, but you know, we'll check in end of summer and
can only take so much.
Get the latest Silent Hills rumors from you.
Yeah, I don't mind Bloober doing an original story, but like Silent Hill 2 is just, it's sacrosanct. You know, it's like you don't touch that game.
Is there anything, any way in your mind that they'd be able to do right by it?
I really don't know, because Silent Hill 2 exists in a very particular bubble. Is because you could come at it and say, well, the voice acting seems off. We gotta change that. And we can change the music and we can add some endings, which I think the rumor said they want to add endings.
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck? And you don't do that because this game has a very specific design philosophy behind it, and you can't change that. I would say remake part 1, remake part 4. Part 4 could use a remake. I love that game, but do not touch part 2. That is just, it's the Bible. It is the Holy Grail. It is warts and all perfection. Like the warts are what make it beautiful. And to try to change that, you're going to invite the comparison for the most beloved game in the franchise. Why would you want that burden anyway?
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's the ego, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Another studio may actually be taking on a burden of taking over a beloved franchise. Take-Two recently had an earnings call where they talked to their investors about wanting to make more sports games. And they actually mentioned by name that the FIFA license was now up for grabs. I don't know if you saw the tweets from the head of the FIFA organization that was like throwing a ton of shade at EA, basically saying like, it doesn't matter where we have our games made, the FIFA brand is going to be the best soccer games out there every year. And he said FIFA 2023, FIFA 2024, he thinks that they're going to be able to get a developer on it and turn around a game to release this year somehow.
Fuck, talk about ego.
Yeah. Like it was insane. It was like Donald Trump middle of the night, like capitalized random words in the middle of a sentence, kind of like,
no, we're doing this
crazy
now?
tweets. Yeah. But like Take-Two has a lot of clout in the sports gaming space. They make probably the most successful sports game every year, with the exception of FIFA in NBA 2K. The NBA 2K series does incredibly well. They also do 2K Golf, PGA Tour 2K, a couple of others, but they've been doing really well. They have their whole like own 2K Sports division. So I think that this would be a good fit, but the numbers that FIFA was reportedly demanding for the license, like in the 500 millions or even $1 billion, I think. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was a lot of money, and it's like a 10-year licensure or something. So like, they'll make it up, but like it was a insane amount of money.
Who's gonna pony that up?
Like, I just don't know why you would do that when you could go out and make deals with the Premier League and make deals with the Euro League. Like, literally the only thing you need FIFA for is for like the World Cup. And so as long as you don't include that, but you include all of the other like organizations and stuff, like that's what people are looking for. They want to see their favorite stars. They don't care about playing Germany versus Brazil, you know? But
yeah, it's fascinating how much times have changed, talking about this, then MLB going multi-platform. It's a whole different landscape in the sports. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of either of those games or sports in general, but it's just from a business perspective, I find all these conversations very interesting. And to see FIFA being like, of course they're going to pay top dollars. FIFA, we're like the best with the hottest shit ever.
Yeah. One quote that I did find very interesting from Strauss Zelnick, who's the CEO of 2K,
this guy.
or Take-Two.
Yeah.
He said, "We're excited about building out our sports business, and we don't have much else to say at the moment," when asked if they were going to pursue the FIFA license specifically. So I think they're eyeing it. I don't know if that investment is going to be worth it to them, though.
Yeah. All right.
But
Time will tell.
EA did have some exciting news today. We got a shadow drop, or maybe this was yesterday. A shadow drop of Apex Legends Mobile. So they announced this a while ago and then didn't say anything about it. It just kind of like went under the radar, and then it just like released out of nowhere. So it's available now. You can go check it out. I haven't looked at it. I have no idea if it is just Apex Legends, but you play on your phone, if it's like Fortnite Mobile, or, if it's like the fucking Switch version of Apex Legends. Oh my god.
Maybe I'll give it a shot. I'm gonna expose myself for the first time to Apex with the mobile version.
Play it while you're riding the train to work or something.
My Razer key, she could use some love lately, so I'll fire that up later to see what it's like.
Who knows? I think this is more so to try and get more into like the Eastern Asian marketplaces and stuff, just because mobile gaming is so pervasive there. Like Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, like all of those like mobile shooters do really, really well over there. And so I think this is more so trying to target like the Korean, Japanese, Chinese markets.
Right.
And
Yeah, they want those kids' phone with their parents' credit cards
yeah,
attached to it.
exactly. Exactly. Then last little piece of news here, Andy. I thought this was really exciting. The Dying Light 2 team, Techland, just announced that they are going to be making a new IP. It's an open world fantasy RPG. That's the only details that we have about it. Sounds like it's in early development. And they are going to continue to support Dying Light 2 for a really long time. I think they have stated that they're going to support it for 5 years, which they like, that makes total sense. Like, they supported Dying Light. I think it just recently got another update. The original Dying Light did. So like, they support their games for a really long time. But their next game is going to be an open world fantasy RPG. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, 2 words. Fuck yes.
Yeah,
I love when a developer sort of comes out of their comfort zone, and they're a pedigree developer too. Like, I forget the name. Is it Playground that does Forza that's now going to be doing the Fable games? They're doing Fable, right?
Yep.
So knowing what they can produce graphically and from a gameplay perspective, that they are now going to put their mind and start making a Fable game, that excites me.
Yeah.
So seeing these guys who have made the most kick-ass parkour zombie killing game ever are now doing an open world fantasy game, hell yeah, bring it on. Yep. I am very excited about this.
Yeah, I'm all in. I think Techland is like such an underrated development team.
They are
incredibly talented. Their gameplay is always really, really fun. In the games that they've put out. So I'm all in on this. Take your time. I don't care if it takes 5-6 years to get this game out. I'm gonna definitely check it out day one. All right, bring us home with a hype zone, Andy.
I'm just gonna read you.
Okay. I actually don't know what this is. He said he wanted to surprise me, so.
Because I was like legit thinking, could the Silent Hill news be hype? But then I saw something else that I was reminded of on Facebook Messenger earlier today.
Okay.
Today's Dead by Daylight 6th anniversary live stream. This is from GameInformer.com, by the way. Brought a lot of exciting announcements, but none were stranger or more surprising than the reveal of Hooked on You. This wild spin-off surgically removes Dead by Daylight's terrifying killers and plops them into a romantic bubblegum world of dating sims.
No way.
Taylar, there is gonna be a Dead by Daylight dating sim.
No chance. What?
This is not April Fool's. This is legit.
We have to get them back on the Dual Screens podcast now.
Oh, they are going to come on 100%.
And talk exclusively about this game.
Yes. Like... So let me... Do you remember the last time I had them on the show, I asked them specifically, why is your fan base so fucking horny?
Yeah.
And they were like, we can't answer that. Because we don't know.
Yeah.
And then this is like the product of that, that pent-up sexual fucking energy. So I'm going to read some more about this.
Okay.
Launching later this year.
Later this year?
Yes.
Holy shit.
This visual novel, this is like fucking, we have to do some sort of stream where either one person plays and we all just watch the other one play. This visual novel tasks would-be lovers to flirt their way into the hearts of 4 killers: the Wraith, the Spirit, the Huntress, and the Trapper. Through choice-driven conversations, you'll forge friendships or steamy relationships with these monsters to learn their personal histories and uncover the broader stories of what got them here in the first place. And like the legit, like, you wanted it, you got it. Here it is. Here it is, guys.
You horny motherfuckers.
All your fantasies come true. You can fuck them now.
Oh my god.
That was like the last piece of the puzzle.
That's amazing.
And I will end this on a quote from a really good friend of the show, Matthew Coe, who is the head of partnerships for Behavior and the marketing televangelist for Dead by Daylight. Our goal with our first visual novel is to provide fans. You talk about going out of the box and comfort zones.
Yep.
This is like a whole other thing for this team. Our goal is to provide fans with a complete unique experience and new ways to play the world of Dead by Daylight. Holy fuck. This is okay. One last thing. This game comes from PsyOp, the team behind the equally silly KFC dating sim I Love You, Colonel Sanders.
No way.
Finger licking good dating simulator.
That's hilarious. That's so good.
And this comes to Steam sometime this summer.
Good for you, horny ass Dead by Daylight fans.
You did it, guys. This
you
is
did it.
Like, don't have kids. Don't reach for the stars. You peaked. This is your legacy.
You've done it.
You're gonna leave this to all of us. You're heroes. You are all of you are my heroes for doing this.
All right, we're gonna bring this home. Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 111 of the Dual Screens Crossplay podcast. If you would like to be a part of the show, you can write into us at feedback@ndspodcast.com. You can tweet at us at dual_screens or at pantsguy or at It's Perjure for myself. You can join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/DS podcasts. Or you can join the Discord by supporting us on Patreon for just $1 a month. It's patreon.com/NDS podcasts. Thank you all so much for joining us. Until next time, stay silly.